Would you believe me if I told you there's already a system in place that predetermines how much money that you are set to make in your whole lifetime? That's 100% true. So there's a financial blueprint which shapes your paradigm that determines how much money you're going to make. If you've never heard of a financial blueprint, if you're never, really heard of a paradigm shift or anything like that, then you've come to the right place. I'm going to talk to you about the things that helped me. And just to backpedal a little bit, I'm 23 years old. My name is D'Angelo Simmons. I'm with the brand Steps to Success, where we show you guys how to achieve your results on your journey of success, particularly with entrepreneurship. And we show you based off mainly my life experience. I've been an entrepreneur since 19 years old on my journey of success with entrepreneurship. I've been full-time since 20 years old. And here I am now, 23 years old. So I've been full-time for about 3 years. So I'm at about 20 years old, 19 years old when I first begun to chase after my journey of entrepreneurship. If you'd like to know the whole thing about my journey of entrepreneurship, go ahead and click that video up there or in the link in the description as well. It's my real estate journey so far. So when I first begun, I got into really shifting my mind, books and all type of things that I read that helped me transition from really just a different way of thinking. So one of the main things that helped me was understanding that there was a blueprint in place that already predetermines how much money I make. If you're anything like me and I'm chasing to gain and make more money, I was working at JD Byrider 9 to 5 there, and I was upset when I heard that there's already a blueprint set in place for me to be making at the time $21,000 a year as a car detailer at JD Byrider. So I wanted to figure out how I can change this. And once I figured out that, ultimately it doesn't matter how much work you do, it doesn't matter anything except if you can understand how to actually shift your paradigm and destroy that old financial blueprint. So I know you see the whiteboard behind me. Let's go ahead and hop into it. I'm gonna show you how to destroy your old financial blueprint and go ahead and get you a new financial blueprint that caters to your success as long as you're willing to dedicate and have your heart in every step. Before we hop into it, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and let's get into it, baby. All right, so what you see here, you have the body, the subconscious mind, the conscious mind. If you are not familiar, I do believe, and so do a lot of people that are successful, that our body is ultimately a expression of our mind state. So that's the belief of this right here. And that's where you get this diagram from. So with this diagram, we see our body here, our subconscious mind here, and our conscious mind. Let's start at the top. Our conscious mind is ultimately has our 5 senses. So that's the thing that, on a day-to-day basis, everybody knows. Our conscious mind has the ability to, make decisions, accept or reject thoughts and things like that. However, our subconscious mind is like a newborn baby. It really is a newborn baby. It does not know truth from a lie, and it does not know a joke. It simply implements anything that's impressed upon it. So whatever you think about here in your conscious mind and you turn into images, it goes to your subconscious mind and it implements out through the body into the real world. It expresses itself into the real world, which is why certain, beliefs, events, things will happen in your life based off first the conscious mind, and then if you hold that thought long enough, it'll go to your subconscious mind, and then your subconscious mind will make that create an event that attracts that kind of that same thought that you had, and it'll act out through the body, through our physical reality. So now that you have a basic understanding of that, let's talk about how that relates to you getting more money, baby, getting more money. All right. So you see, we have see, smell, hear, touch, and feel, right? So this is our conscious mind. Our conscious mind here, that right there, you can decide how you want to think, right? So if you decide to think successfully, then you'll impress successful thoughts on your subconscious mind, which will attract successful events and create thought patterns that align with successful reality. So, however, now this is where your money financial blueprint comes into place. Now, if we take away this, right? Because when you're a kid, you don't have this. When you're an embryo, when you're fresh out the womb, when you're a little baby, you don't have this whole thing right here. All of this up here, you don't have any of it. So let's just go ahead and wipe it off. All you have as soon as you come out the womb is you're a baby. Remember I told you the subconscious mind is a baby within itself. So not until about 7 years old do you develop pretty much that conscious mind that I just showed you. That whole that 5 sensories, everything up there, the ability to think for yourself, start doing, being able to interpret the world and things like that, all mainly happens on a conscious level. Once you get at 7 years old, you're fully developed. Which means before 7 years old, you're literally like a film, or just like a movie reel, or just like a camera recorder. You're just like this camera that's in front of you. Before 7 years old, you're just like this camera recorder. You're just looking at the world, and it's all going into your subconscious mind. So it's all literally just getting implemented into your subconscious mind. Everything you see in the world is just going right into your subconscious mind, and it's happening right here. This is the time where you're going to determine how much money you make through the rest of your life. And let me unpack how. So when you have this subconscious mind, you are mostly impressed. Obviously, your genetics are included in your subconscious mind because that determines who you are. So before you have anything out in the world, your genetics are going to be a part of the subconscious mind as well. However, your environment makes up more of ultimately who you are, because your subconscious mind determines most about who you are through thoughts and things like that. So the environment that you're around is what's going to determine this financial blueprint, and that's mainly determined through 3 things, right? So that's going to be verbal. Give me a second. It's going to be verbal. It's going to be emotional. And it's going to be visual. Okay? So visual, what we see, what we'll do, right? So let's start with the first one. So just to start with the first one, we have verbal. So the verbal is what you hear other people in your family say about money. So if you hear your family talk negative about money, right? If you hear your family talk in a way that there's never enough money to where you can buy things, right? So if you hear your, family, maybe at the dinner table, there's an argument about money. All of these things, mind you, I'm talking about before the age of 7 years old. So I'm not talking about anything at 7 or after 7, before the age of 7. So right here at this time, you're observing the world. If your parents, have an argument because they have to pay this bill and all these things, you're getting negative thoughts about money. If your family has money in abundance and you guys are just doing whatever, you're observing all of these things. The verbal, everything that they're saying, you're sitting back and you're hearing it, you're digesting it, and you're seeing what it means before the age of 7, right? So that's going to affect you in different ways depending on if you heard negative things or if you heard positive things. Maybe you heard all rich people were bad. Maybe you heard rich people are good. Maybe you heard people don't need to have so much money. Maybe you heard, people do need so much money. But if you heard people don't need so much money, you may grow up, despising of rich people because when you were younger, you heard how rich people are bad people. So it works just like that. Or you may work, you heard that money comes to you easily, right? So you may grow up and you believe that money just comes easily. So what I'm really getting at, whatever you believe is ultimately will be true for you. And this is how it determines your blueprint. So emotional, right? So imagine as you as a kid, and I don't know obviously what happened in your childhood, but there could have been an emotional event in your childhood that triggered who you are as an adult when it comes to money, right? So say if you were a kid that had a family that maybe they were tight on money, right? So maybe they had money coming in, but they were tight from the standpoint of spending the money, right? So maybe your family, when you were younger, they believed in something called, saving for a rainy day, so to speak, right? So you knew your family had money, you saw the money coming in, you always had groceries, you always had the bare necessities of life. However, they never wanted to make that extra step as far as doing something fun or splurging with their money. So you as a kid, you saw this emotional aspect of it, right? So you went to them and you asked, hey mom, can I buy a new pair of shoes, right? Because you see they have money, but then they tell you, no, I'm saving my money for a rainy day, and we don't know what'll happen or anything like that, so we have to save our money. So as an adult, you can do one of two things right there, right? So as an adult, you may grow up, make so much money, right? Make money that you just spend it, right? Because when you were a kid, you couldn't spend it, right? You saw your parents make money, but they didn't let you spend it. So now this emotional presence in you will cause you to rebel and you just spend all of your money. However, the flip side of that is you grow up and then you make money and then you save your money to invest your money. You save for success. Instead of saving for a rainy day, you'll save for success. You save to invest your money into wise financial, wise financial returns, right? So that's just a wave of emotional events. So try to think about when you were younger, if there was anything emotional that may have happened that kind of trigger the actions that you do with your money. We can all have this delusion of who we think we are, but your actions don't lie, and neither does your bank statement when it tells you what you spend your money on. All right, so another thing is visual, right? So just to go back a little bit, visual. So if you again saw somebody, as far as, and when I say visual, I'm not saying if you see your parents arguing about money. That's more of, like I said, the verbal, right? But when I say visual, I'm speaking on the standpoint of how you saw your parents deal with money, or how you saw your family members deal with money, right? So did you see your parents get money and then, save the money? Did you see your parents get money, invest the money? Did you see your parents get the money and, just spend it, right? So it depends on what you saw. So if you saw your parents, well, the first one was save the money. So if you saw your parents just get money and save it, right? Maybe they just were saving it. For them, they just like the fact of being able to look into the bank account and see that they had money saved. Also, there could have been a different time when you were younger. Maybe there were better interest rates just sitting your money in the bank and just not letting, investing it or doing anything with it. So maybe that's all you saw. So then what will happen is the visual, you'll grow up and you may do that same thing, or you could have, the emotional rebel as well. So you saw that, so you could save, but you also saw your parents, maybe they spoke with their financial advisors, maybe they spoke with their attorneys, their real estate brokers, and then you heard investment talk, you saw them buying properties, you maybe sat in on a closing one time, but you were under 7 years old, so you didn't even know these things. But remember, it's our subconscious mind being programmed. And that honestly is the biggest thing. If you're anything like me, man, this stuff gives me goosebumps talking about it. When I first learned about it, again, I'm 19 years old when I started learning about this stuff. So it blew I've never heard anything like this. Like, it still excites me. Let me slow down. It excites me to this day, and I'm very excited to share this with you guys. So if you're still with me, I appreciate you watching. As always, keep your heart in it, baby. All right. Your subconscious mind being open to all of this verbal, emotional, and visual, it's putting you in a place of before 7 years old. It's determining who you're going to be when it comes to money, right? So if your family never even talked about money, right? Remember that verbal? What if your family never even talked about money? You may be a person that grows up and you don't even talk about money. You kind of just get your check, you pay your rent, you pay your bills, you make sure you got something to eat, but you don't look at money in a way of how can I make my money work for me? How can I do? You just sit back and don't even talk about it. You just kind of let it be. Like it's just something that's like, it's just basically like you're in a fixed income where the government just gives you your money from the standpoint of you don't have any decisions on, you can't even invest it. Like you're in a communist country or something, like maybe China. I don't know if China can invest their money or not. Let me stop. But what I'm saying is you are in the United States, a capitalistic society. So if you were verbal and you didn't hear your parents talk about money, you may be missing out on a lot of opportunities because you are not even taking the time to even express yourself into emotionally and see and unpack what money can bring you. That's what I really am saying right there, right? So make sure if you're not even the person that you never had anything verbal, emotional, or you never even saw visual, right? If you're none of those, then this is the time for you to wake up, right? You got to wake up and know that you have to control what you're putting in that conscious mind, what you're thinking about, because it's going into the subconscious mind and it's acting out through the body and bringing you your reality of how much money you're making. Guys, we're not done yet, right? So this is the three things, the three main ways, right? So with these verbal, emotional, visual cues, it ultimately determines what's going to be expressed in your reality as far as how much money you make. Now you see these lines right here, right? Now these lines, let's let these lines first, let's let them be, cell phone, let's say frequencies, right? Like a frequency, wave frequencies as far as like, cell phones, right? So this is cell phone. So say you and I are texting or whatever, right? So say, this is me, my phone, right? So let's just say me. And then, this is your phone, right? So you, right? This is your phone, right? So me, you. So if we're texting, right? I send you a text. Since all phone waves, everything in this freaking universe, right? Everything is moving in this universe, everything, right? So even you, if you feel like you aren't doing anything, you had a day where you're not doing nothing, you're either moving forward or backwards. So if you didn't do anything, you moved backwards. So with the same with this, anything in the universe, there's frequencies, right? So in order to speak, just like on a walkie-talkie, you have to find the channel, right? So it's the same thing with our cell phones. It's literally the same exact thing. So if I send a message, it goes straight to you. It goes straight to you because we're on the same frequency. It's the same thing with your life, your thought patterns, your goals, and your everything as far as your life. It's the same exact thing. You have to first be on the frequency of what you want from life in order to obtain it and attract that from life. Guys, that's huge. Rewind that part real quick while I erase this. Guys, that's huge. You have to be on the same frequency in order to obtain what you want. So now let me unpack it a little bit more. Let me show you guys what I mean. So let's say this right here, let's just say these are thoughts, right? So I'm going to draw some little clouds. These are little thought bubbles, right? So we're thinking, right? So all of our thoughts, right? Well, I'll just write that so you know what it is. T. All those three things right there, those are thoughts. So all of these thoughts right here, they are going to lead to your end result, right? Remember, you see this, that subconscious mind. Remember, there was a conscious mind first. That subconscious mind, whatever you impregnated into your subconscious mind, no jokes, they don't know jokes. It released through your body, which gave you the results right here. So all of these thoughts gave you your result, right? So the results, the frequency, let's just think of this. Remember, it was a cell phone frequencies at first. However, let's make this into vibration frequencies, right? Because in order to vibrate, remember, you have to be on the same level of your frequencies, right? So you and I, our body is literally just an expression, it's just a ball of energy. That's all we are, it's a ball of energy. Man, Google it if you like, I'm telling the truth. So our body is nothing but a ball of energy, right? So since that is the case, and our thoughts obtain here, and right now we're on this level, our goals, right? Because in order to get our goals, we're not there yet, right? So what happens in life, I'll draw this up here, but what happens in life, and let's go here with it, goals. What happens in life, guys, is that we are right here, right? So me, right here, me talking to you guys, I know what I want, right? I'm right here, I know what I want. One of the things I want is to, reach monetization on my YouTube channel. Reach monetization on my YouTube channel. That's one of the things I want, right? So right now I'm like here, but I have to get up there, right? You have to get up there. So you're here, but you have to get up there. How are you going to get up there? How are you going to get up there? So the way you get up there is not, first I'll tell you how not. The way you don't get up there, and this is what you often hear. A lot of people, a lot of times, often they say, I'm going to do this as soon as I can do that. You get what I'm saying? I'll do that, right? I'll do this as soon as I can do that. You get what I mean? All right, I'll explain to you a little deeper, right? So say if you're somebody, maybe, I don't know, you gotta create a business plan, right? In order to start a business. Let's say what that is, right? That's a lot of people hang-ups. Me, when I was an entrepreneur, well, when I was 19 years old, when I first was working to be an entrepreneur, at 20 years old, when I got my first deal and I got out of my job, my 9-to-5 job, it took me 9 months to get my first deal. At that point, I wanted to be up here, but right then and there, I was down there because my goal was at that time to, get out of my 9-to-5 job and be financially free from the standpoint of, being able to create my own income. So me being able to get out of that, I got up here. However, I could have gotten stuck. I could have told myself that first I need to create a business plan before I get my goal. I could have put this hurdle in my head, right? So I could have been like, as soon as I create the business plan, right? As soon as I create the business plan, I'll be able to achieve my result, right? You get what I mean? Like, as soon as I get my business plan, as if my business plan is the goal, is what I'm trying to explain to you. You can treat your business plan as if it's the goal, and then you're tricking yourself out of where you're actually at instead of taking that necessary level, right? So you have to be willing to make not only just a decision to get your goal, you have to make a committed decision to reach your goals, right? So oftentimes, we can make a decision. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'll do this. Like I said, as soon as I do that, I'll create my business as soon as I make my business plan. I'll create my business as soon as I make my business plan. That's like the most common thing people think. And it's not necessary at all. So I'll create my business as soon as I create my business plan. So instead of taking that approach to it, what you have to do is throw all logic out, right? Because that's the logical approach. First, you make a business plan, and then you do a business, and that's how you be able to make, understand what your business is. When you throw logic out of it, then you're operating how the universe operates. Let me show you what I mean. So in order to be here, remember, I told you it's about frequency, the level of vibration that you're vibrating on. So it wasn't about this, right? Some people think, remember, result, they think we can just go right there with it, right? They think we can just go, boom, just skip it, right? As soon as I get the business plan, I'll create a business as if it's just some magical thing that'll just happen, right? But that's not the case. We can't skip all the way up. We have to do this. Let me show you guys what we got to do. We have to first think on this level. And guys, this is intense. This is huge, right? So before I get too far into this, because this is your thoughts and this is your goals, remember, you can't skip it. You can't just go right up. You have to stay on this level and then you get to go like that. Guys, this is intense. So just to tell you, before we get into this, let me explain even more how deep your financial blueprint is, right? So there's this story out there. There's this story that there's this salesman, right? The salesman is a decent salesman. He's like decent, meaning like out of 10 salesmen, he's like number 9, like 9th out of number 10, right? So he's decent. That being said, this salesman, he's been in this one area for about 10 years, right? This one area, he ended up making $60,000 in sales, right? $60,000 in sales. It's been in this one area, and it's been in there for 15 years. He's been making $60,000 for 15 years straight. So his supervisors, they decided to say, hey man, look, we want to try to switch it up for you, right? You've been in this one area for 15 years. You've always made $60,000. You've always made $60,000. We want you to switch it up. You know what? Since you've always made 60 at this area, we're going to make you go to this lower class area, right? This lower class area, there's a bunch of, let's just, for the sake of it, because we, this is an entrepreneurship channel, but I'm in real estate, so we'll say this messed up area has a bunch of vacant houses, right? A bunch of vacant houses that it can be a bunch of great deals into it. We want you to go out there, that's your area, that's your market, start forming. So the guy goes out there and he freaking kills it, right? Now the only thing about this area is the prices, the margins are a little bit lower, right? So it's not as big as those margins. At that margins, the deals, he was making $60,000 a year. Each deal was like $10,000. So he was getting 6 deals and he was killing it, right? So he's balling. Now in this other area, it's not like that. It's not the same case, right? So it's he's killing it. The actual money amount, it went down a bit, right? So instead of getting $10,000 per deal, now he's getting $3,000 per deal. But remember, he's killing it with the volume though, right? So instead of closing 10 deals, because this guy's killing it, right? He ended up doubling that and he closed 20 freaking deals, right? Excuse me. Yes, he closed 20 deals. So our guy at first, he was getting 6 deals. So he ended up closing 20 deals, right? So he was getting $10,000 a deal at $10,000 a deal, closed 6 freaking deals, and now he's at $3,000 a deal, but this time he closed 20 deals. However, he still got $60,000, the same amount. So even though he went to a different area where he killed it at, he still only earned $60,000, right? So now, since he killed it, he closed so many, his supervisors were like, this guy, he's dope. We got to get him out of this area. He closed 20 deals. He closed 6 at the other one. Now he just closed 20. Let's get him out of here. Let's take him up to the big leagues where they're closing and they're getting $30,000 on each deal. $30,000. They saying this guy should easily close over 6 figures at this new area, right? So the season starts. He's in there. He started his marketing. Everything's happening, right? So for the first 6 months, he does not good. right? This guy does not good at all. For the first 6 months, he didn't do any deals. So he's like, man, what the heck is going on? This is a new area. Is it the new area? I don't know what it is, right? So then he's halfway through the year. He's in June. So then let's go ahead and fast forward over to August. August, he closes his first freaking deal. He gets $30,000. So he's excited. $30,000, one deal. All right, I'm about to close more. I'm about to close more. What happens is he closes his last deal on December 31st, and that deal was, guess how much? $30,000. He closed $60,000 in each of the 3 areas he was at. That's because his financial blueprint would not allow him to make no more than $60,000. And it's the same thing with you guys. Your financial blueprint right now, you may have not heard of your financial blueprint, but this, what you have to do in order to get rid of it is have a paradigm shift. First, know and really pinpoint how you think about money and why you think of it that way. And the next thing you have to do is this. So as you are on this level of vibration, right? Instead of skipping, you have to first think. So now since you're thinking on this level, and what this thinking looks like is being unrealistic. On this level of it, people will tell you that you're unrealistic. How the heck do you think that that's even possible? That don't even make sense. What are you doing? How is that possible, right? So on this level, you're up there with the greats. You're up there with the Thomas Edisons of the world, right? You're up there with the Wright brothers, right? You're up there with the creators of modern day era, the Ford brother, everybody who created everything you're looking at from the standpoint of newly created. This is what they had to do. They had to first think on that level. They had to first be unrealistic. They had to be crazy. They had to be like, man, what the heck are you even doing? How are you going to be able to do that, right? You're 15 years old. How are you going to be a freaking millionaire by 18, right? They started thinking like a millionaire. That's how. So instead of having our thoughts at this level and our results stayed here, they started changing their thoughts, right? So they started thinking like the millionaire. What does that look like, right? So instead of thinking like the person that's down here, that person may have had self-limiting beliefs, right? That person may have told themselves that they're only worth a little bit and not worth as much as this person up here, right? So let's see how crazy this looks in real life, right? So this person right here is probably, let's say, a McDonald's worker, right? A McDonald's worker, maybe they're the cashier at McDonald's, right? Maybe there's something like that, I don't know. Now, this person, they're friends, they're all the cashier at McDonald's, they're friends, their whole friend group, everybody's chilling because that's what they do. They all work at McDonald's. However, this same person decided to come up here and as a cashier, he's still the cashier at McDonald's, right? He's still the cashier. However, something happens. He wakes up one day and then he comes up here and then he starts to think of himself as being the owner of McDonald's, right? So he changed his name tag to CEO of McDonald's instead of cashier of McDonald's, right? So he started being up here as the owner of McDonald's, right? So not only did he change the name tag, he also started asking his manager, you know, how can I get in contact with the owner of this franchise of McDonald's, right? He started making the necessary steps. So you know what I mean? He started Googling, you know, what are the requirements to own a McDonald's, right? He started not only Googling the requirements, he started figuring out how much money he got to save, right? He started figuring out how to make the necessary connections, where he'll get that money from to buy the McDonald's. Everything. He did all of that because he was on this level. I'll explain to you how this looks in my own life. In my own life, just to give you a quick overview. With me, it looked like I was at freaking JD Byrider working a 9-to-5 job, and I just wanted out of JD Byrider. However, I knew I did not want to go back to college. I knew I did not want to go back to school. So I decided to teach myself stuff like this at 19 to 20 years old. However, my family, they did not know that I was teaching myself stuff like this. So when I was sitting back, chilling, acting like, you know, there was no worry about time because I wasn't pressed to go back to school. I wasn't doing none of that. However, you know, they were, you know, go back to school, go, you should do this, you got to do something with your life. But they didn't know what I was doing behind the scenes. So me as a JD Byrider car detailer earning $14 an hour, $14 an hour, you know, $21,000 a year over the course of 1 year, from me learning all of this information that I just taught you, I was able to 4x my income. 4x my income, yes. 4 times $21,000. I was able to do all of that over the course of a year, and I was able to get out of my job at JD Byrider because I implemented everything that I just taught you. I sat back, I learned the verbal, emotional, visual cues. I understood my subconscious mind. I understood that my subconscious mind knows no joke, right? So whatever I said about my life and anything like that, it was impressed upon it and it would bring it out into my reality. I understood where I was at, right? I understood where I was at this stage of my life as a car detailer at JD Byrider. But I knew that I would be able to get up and be right here, which is my goal. Like I said, get out of JD Byrider, but not only get out of JD Byrider, I used to have to walk, and I looked up this hill and I told God, thank you for making me get halfway up that hill. And right now I feel like I'm halfway up the hill because I got so many more things that I want out of my life. But I've been an entrepreneur on my journey of success for the past, again, like 2.5, 3 years now. And I'm blessed. And I did all of this without a college degree. All of this without a college degree. You can do all of this and whatever else you want to do in life with or without a college degree. You don't need it. However, you just need to recognize the spiritual and the real loss of money. This is not a joke. This is real life. You're not learning this in school. We're not learning this. We didn't learn this in school for a reason, because they know if everybody knows stuff like this, then it could be trouble. It could be real trouble. It could be more people out here like you and like me that's really out here trying to propel ourselves in our financial success, on our journey of success, and they're really in trouble because we got our heart in every step. As always, get to stepping.